Savage.
This program contains subject matter and language that may be disturbing to some viewers. Viewer discretion is advised.
Real news, it's not fake news.
Answer along the line.
Am I allowed to say that? No, I'm not political. Anyway, guys. So yeah, we're ready. 1 second.
The left are liars. Stop the fucking bullshit.
Bye. Go home to mommy.
An army or a group. It only takes one person to fight for freedom.
Savage Unfiltered.
Been a long day, guys. It's been a long day. I just want to say that. But guys, we have a really awesome guest here on Savage Unfiltered. About to bring him on, an MMA specialist. That bezels with a lot of different other avenues towards that, mixed martial arts, kickboxing, it all, guys. He has his own gym, White Rhino, affiliated with the Asylum Fighting Team. Checked out some of his videos on YouTube. I mean, there was a really good fight. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about his age, too, because, I mean, he's no spring chicken. Still throwing hands, guys, at the age of 60. I'm really impressed. A lot of guys, I mean, you can't say that for everybody. I mean, it's really impressive. Want to bring in Joseph, buddy. What'd you think of some of the clips, man? I was showing you, man, with Phil. Really impressive guy.
Yeah, great stuff. I'm impressed that he has his own gym. I aspire to having my own gym one day. But for now, all I have is a Clyde. Boom.
Yeah.
You know me, can't pass on the lame pun.
Yeah. But you know, Joseph, I want to apologize, man. 1 minute late. You know, we had an issue with producer Shaky. He's been screwing up lately.
What?
Fucking time, I'm telling you. But get it together, Shaky. Fucking drink some coffee or do something, man. But 60 years old, man. I mean, throwing hands at 60. I mean, that's highly impressive. See one fight with what is it? Looked like a UFC fighter or something. One of his YouTube videos that he has on his channel there. So I want to talk about that. I want to talk about the backstory of his gym. You know, Asylum Fight Team and White Rhino. I want to get the White Rhino. Like, where did White Rhino come from?
I think that came from the Spearmint Rhino strip clubs in Vegas.
There's one here in West Palm Beach, not too far from me, a good 6-7 hour drive from Orlando. But I don't think he's affiliated with Spearmint Rhino. But I like White Rhino because there was a pun, actually, Joseph. There was a pun that an announcer was talking about with him as he's coming down the aisle there, you know, and he's like, you know, Phil Dunlap, 265 pounds, you know, and this and that. And, you know, he's you know, cutting the promo for Phil. And Phil's taking off like this leather jacket, man, a really cool leather jacket. And as he's taking it off, he's like, oh, shit, I thought that was his father or something, you know. And he's taking off the jacket, man, ready to, you know, square up in the Octagon, man. And
Savage Unfiltered.
Big boys as well. 6'1", 225 for Dunlap. 6'5", 233 for Maines.
Liking the stylish jacket that he's coming out with. Military style leather. And his pajama bottoms. Possibly the greatest outfit of the evening.
I thought that was the competitor's dad walking him to the cage. Oh, he's going to choke me out for that one.
Yeah, he's a big dude.
Apparently, old man strength will be a factor in this bout. As an old man with old man strength, I can say that. That's the only advantage we get as we get older, grip strength.
Well, having a name like the White Rhino, I imagine that he's got some old man strength. Representing Team Asylum. Come to us.
I was like, that was pretty cool, man. You know, like you expect them, to come out with a robe, the whole maybe Rocky Balboa style, with the fucking hey Adrian, and I mean he's coming out with a leather jacket, a bomber jacket. I thought it was pretty cool, but other than that, man, you got any quotes or reactions here before we bring them on?
No, not really. I have a question for him. There's a local guy here that does MMA, calls by the name Bushi, Bushi. So I think his jiu-jitsu name is Shorin Ryu Yudansha. It's like, that's a mouthful. But I want to ask him if he might know him. He's got a book out called The Black Book of Martial Arts. I don't know if it's showing on screen or not, but
you get a lot of ghosting, man. I keep on telling you, get rid of that fucking green screen, man. But
yeah. Well, I've got a copy, an autographed copy of The Black Book of Martial Arts by Bushi. So yeah, I'm curious if he knows him at all. Probably not. I think he's just kind of a local Michigan kind of guy.
Yeah, well, let's not hold him up too much longer. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Phil Dunlap here. Welcome, Phil. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being part of the show, man. Now, first and foremost, I want to get the whole backstory first before we get into your career of mixed martial arts and kickboxing and jiu-jitsu, and I mean, you do it all, Phil.
It evolved over time. Yeah. Now I teach mixed martial arts. I train fighters, but I just compete in submission grappling and BJJ. I have 119 professional between kickboxing and mixed martial arts fights, and it's just too much trauma on the head. I can't afford to take those shots anymore.
Yeah. But I mean, you're somewhat you're somewhat active, right? I mean.
Yeah, I tried to compete as much as I only competed once this year because I actually had a tumor removed from my neck in June. So it's one of those things where I compete as much as I can. Generally, I try to get at least 10 events in per year.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. At 60 years old, like I was saying with Joseph here, but before we brought you on and you were in the green room there. I mean. You could still throw hands, man. 60 years old. Much respect to you. There's not a lot of guys
honestly,
that can do it.
I think a lot of it's because I never stopped. It's one of those things, like a lot of people, they went to high school, they played football, they played basketball, whatever. They get out of high school and they don't do anything for 10, 15 years. Yeah. And then if they're trying to get back in shape, their body's going to fight them every step of the way. Whereas I just never stopped.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gave the key there, because I'm turning 61 tomorrow as of the
Happy birthday.
Recording this, and I wouldn't be able to fight my way out of a paper bag, as the saying goes, at this point. Although if someone came up to me and decided to try to,
you still got 30 seconds in you.
Attack me out of the blue. Yeah, the adrenaline would kick in my teens and 20s, heydays of bar fights might. Kick in for a short burst and hold my own. But, yeah, I'd be in trouble because, like you said, I played hockey through high school. But then, I got out of shape because I didn't go to the gym. I didn't keep up a routine.
Yeah. I mean, old guys could still kick ass, guys. Literally. Much respect to you.
You're fighting 20-year-olds in the Octagon. I would need a 20-year-old to help me get into the Octagon.
I joke around every once in a while. I should come down with a walker.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that'd be fun, right? Like a wrestling pun routine.
Well, that's
right?
one of the things about it. When you get older, it becomes a lot more fun. Like I always tell my guys when I'm training them, I wish when I was in my teens and 20s, I enjoyed the process as much as I do now. It was like I can remember I went up and I did a big show in Portland, Submission Underground, and they fly you up, they put you up, they pay you money to compete, and it's kind of like I'm standing in the cage. It was actually the one with the bomber jacket that you were talking about.
Oh, okay.
And it's kind of funny because I'm standing there in the cage after they introduced me, and I'm thinking to myself, man, this is the coolest thing in the world that I'm doing this at 54.
Yeah.
I still remember that moment. In other words, when it actually hit me, like, I can't believe I'm fortunate enough to still be doing this.
Well, back to that fight, Phil. You know, as the announcers, you know, like basically announcing you and stuff like that, cutting that little promo for you. Did that bother you at all? I know this might.
It's actually. I knew nothing about that.
Nothing.
Okay, that was actually my ring entrance.
Okay.
I was walking down to the ring, and what happened is I was living in Vegas at the time.
Oh, okay.
And it was December up in Portland, and me being an idiot, like, you know, I throw a bomber jacket on for the flight, so when I get off in Portland, I'm okay. But all I do is bring my gear to compete in. Okay, so I've got shorts and a rash guard. Okay, and then for around the hotel, I got a pair of snowman pajama bottoms. And I've got the bomber jacket. So I warm up, I get all loose. Now I'm sweating in the basement. Now it's in the Roseland Theater. I love that Roseland Ballroom, whatever it is. I love that venue in Portland because all the seats overlook the cage.
Okay.
So it's just such an energy. It was crazy. But like I walk down, but it's cold. So I put the bomber jacket on, and that was not planned.
I thought, Phil, that's your getup, man. I thought the whole, bomber jacket, motorcycle jacket thing going on. I thought that's your getup, man. You just wore it because it was cold?
That just happened. In other words, and it was kind of funny because I flew home later that night. Yeah. And then when I got home, somebody sent me the ring entrance. It was all over the internet.
Oh shit! So it kind of went viral, I guess.
Yeah, you know, it was kind of funny. It's still my favorite. My favorite ring entrance that I've done because it happened.
You talk about your favorite ring entrance. Do you have a recollection of like a favorite fight, a belt you got that is most near and dear to you, maybe because it was the hardest achieved or whatever? Because when things come easy, we don't cherish them like things that come through difficulty.
I would have to say, when I look back on my career, the one I probably take the most pride in is I won a left-weight title, which is Burmese kickboxing. No rules kickboxing. 3 knockouts wins the fight.
Wait, Phil, say that again? I didn't hear it. A welterweight title, you said?
It was 147.
Okay, so that's like the same class of UFC's Ronda Rousey, basically, then, right?
Yeah, about that size. I was 6 feet tall. I was a skinny kid. I was 19 years old. And
so hold on. Let me chime in. You're not the only one in MMA that literally was in that class. I mean, I thought it was only Ronda Rousey and a selected few,
Oh no, overseas, like if you kick, and this was in kickboxing. This was left-weight, which is no rules kickboxing. Okay. If you the best competition are like overseas in Burma, Thailand, Cambodia, Laos.
Tokyo,
they're all in
I would imagine
135 to 150 weight division.
Oh yeah.
You don't got a lot of good heavyweights over there.
Because they're shorter in Japan, I would imagine there's a lot in Tokyo that fit that.
They tend to be, some, and like I don't want to get stereotyping and stuff like that, but the different people, we tend to, Scandinavians are generally built a certain way, Asians, and honestly, I'm part Southeast Asian. You wouldn't looking at me, but I'm like 23andMe says 24% Kashin, which is Northern Burmese.
Good. I mean, you're built pretty good, man. I mean, at 60-something years old, I mean,
I'm actually bigger now than I've ever been.
Wow. I mean, that's pretty impressive.
Well, being part Burmese, isn't there a Burmese python? You need to walk on stage with a Burmese python.
There you go.
Somebody had suggested that to me once.
Already?
Yeah. But it's one of those things. I'm a lifelong vegan. I grew up a vegan. Okay. So
I see the vegan part. We're going to talk about the vegan part in a little bit, but I want to get more of this story of your MMA career. Like how did you get into MMA? Did you always have a passion for it, or what?
First, I grew up doing the Burmese martial arts, and Burmese martial arts had 2 sport components. One was Naban, which is a grappling style that allows open hand strikes. Okay, and the other is left way, which is no rules kickboxing. Any strike is legal, takedowns are legal, headbutts are legal, and 3 knockouts. Back in the 70s and 80s, 3 knockouts won the fight. Now it's 2.
Oh, wow. That's
So it's one of those things. It's a very aggressive form of kickboxing. I grew up doing that, and at 15, I took my first pro fight.
damn. Huh. Wow. Yeah, Joseph, you're usually with the questions, man. Like,
Well, yeah, I do want to go back,
Yeah.
like I said at the beginning. I have, you could see the book actually. It's still
Yeah.
ghosting, but you could see it. Yeah, he might just be a Michigan kind of guy, but he wrote the Black Book of Martial Arts.
Yeah.
He goes by Bushy, bushyinc.com, I think it is. Yeah, so there's two I's in there, bushyinc.com. Do you know him at all? Have you heard of him? Or he's probably
Don't recognize the name, but that doesn't mean anything in the martial arts. I travel more in a circle of combat sports martial arts. He may be classic karate. He may be Japanese jiu-jitsu, which would probably mean I would have very little contact, with people in that circle.
Right. Yeah, I think he's got different chapters on the different types. So I don't know, which he primarily, it's not working. Which he primarily is or isn't exactly.
Any region of the world where we've had men get together as groups. Okay, we've always had some sort of fighting and some sort of fighting sport. Okay, and then some sort of martial art type program. Now, I'm not going to talk the Japanese style, but like Japanese and Burmese, their traditions, everything is very different. The Chinese are very different. The Indians have martial arts skills. Mongolia has Mongolian wrestling. There's so many, and if you go back, there's an excellent book out there by Thomas Green. He was a researcher who tried to research the reality of martial arts. Going all the way back to pancration in ancient Greece, all the European fencing styles, and they were all systemized ways of passing on fighting skills.
Yeah. The only thing I know about Mongolia is the Mongolian grills we have around there.
yeah. But I mean, like I said, Phil, still active, somewhat active at 60 years old. I can't emphasize it enough because, like I said, I know I'm pitching it a lot, but I mean, it's impressive.
Honestly, there's not a lot of us out there still doing it. Yeah. I went through a really bad health scare. I had a rare form of
cancer. See that. Yeah, you want to discuss that a little bit here?
Yeah, I had a rare form of pancreatic cancer, and then what happened is when I got my health back, I started to realize, and one thing is you're sitting there and you're realizing your own mortality. You think to yourself, what's important in life? Mm-hmm. Okay, the lives I impact, my memories, and my family. Okay, so what happened is when I got my health back, I'm 53 years old. I couldn't train for a couple of years. I got my health back, and I started training again. And I'm like, why am I not competing? Okay, in other words, I love to. Mm-hmm. Okay, why was I not water skiing anymore? Like I put water skiing behind in my late 20s. Okay, and it's like, why am I not water skiing anymore? Okay, so I started to do all the things I used to love doing. And in my mind, I do everything. I work and everything for my family. I teach, I try to help people. I do as much as I can to impact other lives in a positive way, make the world a better place because people interacted with me. And last but not least is, why not make more memories? Like, I've competed over 250 times. I've got over 250 matches since I turned 53. So like I tell people all the time, even if you just look at the match itself, there's 250 memories I made.
Yeah.
Okay, not to mention going there, hanging out with people, meeting people, and it's kind of like I really think I've been blessed to live a life that most people couldn't even imagine.
I think you have been blessed, Phil, because like you've had that health scare, you conquered the health scare, and now it looks like you're healthy as an ox. I mean, you're still doing well. You're still grappling in the octagon or a ring somewhere. I mean, you're training new athletes to be that next heavyweight champion in UFC or some other type of company. I mean, that's great. I mean, I want to get into the training, though.
Okay.
How did you get into the training, if you don't mind me asking?
My grandfather did it.
Okay.
And like somebody, and it took me years of like, I tend to be somebody who realistically looks at myself. Like a lot of people, like, like they're 350 pounds, they look in the mirror and they think they look good. Yeah. Okay, some people just are incapable of being truthful with themselves. So I kind of look at myself with an eye toward what makes me tick, what do I do wrong, what do I do right, that type of thing. And when I look back on it, I really was talking to somebody one day, and it dawned on me. For me, I never trained. I trained with my grandfather. There was never an organized class. It was like play. But there were things that went along with it. In other words, it was a wooden post in the backyard. I had to kick 20 minutes with each leg every day to condition my shins. Now, anybody who's ever worked out with me will tell you, my bones are made of rebar. Okay, my students swear I'm not human. Okay, because if we kick each other and my shin hits your shin, you will get a huge welt on your shin, and I won't even feel it.
Yeah, you're just built that way, I guess.
Right.
Years of doing that.
The issue with the posts, they don't move or they don't fight back.
Well, what happens with your shin bones is it deposits calcium. It kills the nerves and deposits calcium on the shin bones. So when you do an X-ray of my shins, they're not normal. I had an avulsion fracture in my leg, and the doctor called all his colleagues in to look at my shin bone.
It's kind of like if you do an MRI of Michael's head, it's not normal.
Yeah, my head is kind of like, dude, I have like an egg-shaped head, I think. I don't know. It's weird. But
hey, that's okay. My wife swears I've got the biggest head in creation. That's why I could take such a good punch. My head was just too big to hurt.
Yeah.
You've got like a Cro-Magnon, the old Neanderthal style.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Hey, 23andMe didn't say how much Neanderthal you are, though.
No, it didn't say anything about that. I was hoping it would tell me I was the missing link or something.
Yeah. So you have this. Oh, you finished yet, Joseph? I always give him jokes, but anyway. So you got this this gym in Virginia, Lexington. Phil, it sounds like you're from New York City. I can pick that up.
I grew up in the Bronx.
Okay.
And I lived in New York, or the New York area, northern New Jersey, and had schools in northern New Jersey.
Oh, wow.
For about 30 years. And then I moved to Vegas for 10 years.
Yeah, I see the Vegas, yeah.
Yeah, and then I just moved out to Virginia 2 years ago.
Oh, yeah, you like it out there, or is it?
I love it. We got 85 acres out here, and really nice house, and we're building a family compound. I just had my first grandkid. My son's building a house on the property. My mother-in-law lives on the property. My other son's building a house on the property. So it's kind of like one of those things that, like I said, we're very family-oriented people. So having the kids by, having the it's what could be better in the world than seeing your grandkid every day.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit more about White Rhino, man. How did White Rhino come into play? Its presence.
Okay.
Sounds like a drink.
If you were to describe my skin color.
Yeah, 1 second. Let's start with White Rhino, and then I want to get into like the Asylum Fight Team because, not to confuse listeners and anything, because the name of your fight team is Asylum.
It's the Asylum Fight Team, and it's White Rhino BJJ and mixed martial arts. Now, White Rhino basically comes from, if you looked at my skin and you said to yourself, what color is he? He may be one of the whitest guys you've ever seen. Okay, I fought in Burma. I was a white guy, and I won 28. I had 28 knockouts by headbutt. So White Rhino was my nickname.
Yeah,
they kind of started calling me it, and it stuck.
That's where the name came from. I was always confused.
I was embarrassed. Between you and I stayed away from it and ran from it. Through my mid-20s, early 30s. I never really embraced it until a couple people found out about it, started to bust my chops, and they convinced me it was a better way to brand it than the Asylum Fight Team.
The marketing aspect is absolutely great. Exactly. When you see the dollar signs that you can associate with marketing.
Well, that's honestly, see, I'm the worst with that because when it comes to martial arts, I don't do it for money. I I run a business that finances government contracts. So it's not one of those things where, like, the money you make, like when I do a pro show, I give my money to charities like St. Jude's and stuff like that, because it's kind of like, the money they're giving you is like, it's not you're going to make a living on. So it's kind of like, I'd rather see maybe some kid get to Disney World, or some parent not have to worry about getting dinner when you're visiting your kid at the hospital. So it's kind of like the money does better there than it does for me. That's
awesome. That's awesome. And, guys, getting a little backstory of, Phil's journey, to MMA and BJJ. And I have to throw that joke in there. It's BJJ, guys, not BJ.
Yep. And don't worry. There's more jokes about that. In other words, you call it BJJ, and then there's men rolling around on the ground. Believe me, it gets comments.
Yeah. I'm sure it does. I've heard BJJ, guys. I mean, not to sound, baffled about it, Phil, but those who are not aware of the term BJJ, it's revolving around. Yeah. So I love it, man. White Rhino. You got the whole Asylum fight team, and I mean, we showed a picture here. We'll show it again here, guy. I mean, you got a whole team here. I mean, there you are.
That was my school when I was in Vegas.
Yeah. I see UFC. Got to support that UFC, I guess, huh?
Yeah, I just happened to have the T-shirt on that night.
Yeah, I love it.
Well, I mean, that's the big thing now. To full disclosure, I'm not an MMA guy. My grandfather Keeler was a big boxing guy. He was the kind of sit on the TV and sit there throwing imaginary left and right jabs. So I never really got into boxing or wrestling to progress the natural progression to an MMA, UFC kind of thing. But, I mean, all the local sports bars make bank when those fights are on.
The sport has blown up like you wouldn't believe. In other words, I can remember the days when there were pro shows in high school gymnasiums.
Oh yeah.
Okay, and then now I had amateurs in Vegas having their first amateur fight at a first-class casino.
Yeah.
It's a completely different sport. The opportunities are completely different. And the UFC is basically an organization. Mixed martial arts is a sport. And the UFC is kind of like the 800-pound gorilla.
Yeah. I mean, I remember, Phil, I used to live up in New York. I lived down here in Central Florida. But I remember going over to the Hammerstein Ballroom, man.
Yes.
And watching small fights. I mean, a Hammerstein Ballroom is not a very large place. But,
How long ago was that?
This would be back in the early 2000s, 2002, 2004.
Just out of curiosity.
UFC, it was through a very small MMA company, a very small MMA company. Yeah.
I had 2 people fight in that event.
You did? Okay.
It was at the Hammerstein Ballroom. I think it's the only one they held there.
Yeah.
Okay, and was there a woman fight? Do you remember?
There was actually a couple fights. There was a woman fight, and then they had 2 small. They had two fights after that. They had a small fight, which, I mean, the guy was probably no smaller than me. I mean, he was tiny. Yeah. Fight lasted for like 5 minutes. The other one that was like maybe 5 pounds heavier than him knocked him out. Literally, 10, 15 minutes.
The event got messed up because a couple guys just disappeared and never showed up to weigh-ins. So they had less fights than they were supposed to. Yeah. And then there was a 48-year-old woman fighting on that card that trained with me.
Yeah.
And it was kind of funny because backstage, all they had was small gloves. They had to run out to a store.
Oh, wow. Embarrassing.
It was just one of those shows that was like destined to be a disaster from jump.
I'm telling you. Guys, check out this clip. We got a clip here we're going to plug into the show. Shaky, some of Phil's fights. I mean, impressive, guys. Impressive. I still have to say it's impressive.
Hopefully, a snap down.
Interesting.
Throws him to the ground. We're not in another body lock sequence. Uses the body lock to pass the half guard. Head position inside. Dunlap with an overhook playing half guard. Switching hips onto his right side, attempting to free that left leg. Dunlap figure four in his to prevent the knee line slipping. He is opting for a shoulder crunch.
Savaged, unfiltered.
Damn, Phil. First and foremost, before I get into the game, I apologize for some of the audio. It seemed like it was an older video, Phil. But,
actually, it was last. I think it was last. It was last November.
Yeah,
it was last November, but the audio on that, man, was very distorted.
Yeah, the guy calling the fight, it's like he's right at the mic and he's screaming.
Well, a lot of these events are they're live streamed. And, you know, I'll be honest with you, some of these companies have it wired and the shows are great. Others are kind of like shaky, you know?
Yeah, I had to take my earbuds out during that clip. It was like
when I talk, it's pretty clear because, I mean, I've got a mixer that's like, you know, 20 feet away. I mean, do these guys not like use mixers or anything in these events or what?
Well, between you and I, a lot of it is the real money. Is in you know, the people that show up and watch.
Yeah.
Okay, and then between you and I, a live stream on one of these, you know, it's a friends and family business.
Oh, okay. Like a mom and pop shop thing.
I'm grappling. I may have a bigger following than, you know, Joe in Ohio. People in Vegas are going to check it out. People that follow me, you know, follow my career are going to check it out. But, you know, a lot of people, if, like, you know, they have 15 people in the audience and 10 people watch at home, well, that's successful.
Yeah. And that guy you were fighting, Phil, I mean, he was a big dude, man.
Yeah, he's actually a good fighter. He fights in the UFC. And it was one of those things where the promoter contacted me. He said he had somebody fall out for a match at 205 with him. I think he called me on, we went back and forth on the internet like on a Tuesday, and I took the match for that Saturday.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I'm one of those people. I'm always pretty much in shape, and like I joke around, like, you know, I tell people I was a fighter, I was a professional athlete. Now I'm a shits and giggles guy. Okay.
No, I wouldn't say shits and giggles, man. Hey, don't put yourself down.
It's not so I can be. You know, I wanted to be something in my 20s.
Okay.
I wanted to take over the world. Okay, all those things that come with youth. Now I'm just having fun.
Right.
Just the fact that I got to share the mat with that kid, and I'm going to be 80, and he's going to be hanging up gloves. You know, so it's kind of like, you know, how many people get to say that like I actually got a match with a guy who's currently fighting in the UFC. Oh, and by the way, I was 59.
59 years old a year ago, fighting a dude that's literally active in UFC, and you had him in a fucking armbar. I mean,
no, he ended up winning.
I would expect he would, with all that extra energy and power of youth that you have.
That's something that comes up quite often. People ask me that subject. Okay, and some of the bigger tournaments, like I just did the American Nationals for the IBJJF, which is a big Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu thing. And when I do a big tournament like that, I can do, let's say, they have Masters divisions every 5 years. And I'm now, next year I age out at the Master 7. But right now I'm considered Master 6, which is 55 to 60. Once you turn 61, you move into Master 7. Okay, but I can bump down a couple masters divisions just to make sure I get a match. So at those tournaments, I actually get to go with somebody 45, 50, whereas most events, it's what you get. Okay, like I'll show up, let's say it's a local event and I have a couple of guys competing. I'll show up, I'll register for the master over 30 division at 205 and end up having to do the adult 250 and over division.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. So it's like hit or miss. That's why I like pro shows. In other words, I can tell a pro promoter, yeah, I want a match at 205, 215, whatever.
That's awesome.
You know, again, I can't pass, Joe the Joke Man Leonard can't pass the jokes, right? So those who think they can probably can barely masturbate, let alone qualify for a master ranking, right?
Nah, yeah, honestly, it's one of those things. Like, and I tell other older guys this, that, like, you know, don't be surprised when not a lot of older guys show up, but also give you self credit for being one of the few that's willing to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like I always joke around. There's that saying, I can only be young once, but I can be immature forever. I don't know whether you want to call it immature or, yeah, I'm going to live my life like, yeah, hey, it could be over, so I might as well enjoy myself.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Guys, you're listening to Phil Dunlap. He's a MMA specialist, has his own gym there in Virginia, Lexington. Guys, I highly suggest you check out his gym. Really, really good stuff. Guys, we're going to learn more about the vegan diet because Phil is a vegan, and I want to get more of this. But guys, I want you to check out this video here, and I want to get Phil's reaction to this video because we do have a video, a somewhat recent video here of Phil Dunlap. And Phil, please, if you'd like to comment on this, man, get some commentary in. You know, please, you're welcome to do so. Guys, check this video out here.
All right, guys, Fresh Galliano here at Asylum with Phil. Competing this weekend at Matt King's. Make sure you
Tony's actually a black belt. I was good friends with in Vegas, and we were doing this promo for an event I was doing, Matt King's.
Okay.
And basically, what we're showing is I'm known as a leg lock guy, and what I mean by that is I try to attack your legs. And if you notice, he's standing over me. What I'm going to do is set up a leg read into a takedown, put him on the ground, and do a heel hook.
Okay. Yeah, I see that, guys, and you know, like, check this out. I mean, this is amazing stuff.
And as I pull, I'm lifting just a little bit. Then I'm going to pull this foot here and push. I come across and read. Now the first step of this read is basically to trap his heel down like this. That way he's not going to be able to roll as he goes down. Then, as I'm in here, I'm going to knock him down this way. That's the first step. Second step, I go for the staple. Okay? Now there's two options from this staple. The first, I'm going to go for a leg knock real quick, if I can. I'm going to kick this out, bring this across like this. I've got a calf slicer
together like that. He feels like his knee is going to explode.
Yeah, you know, Phil, I see this in, you know, not to change the topic or nothing like that, maybe relevant to what we're seeing here. I see this in pro wrestling sometimes on TV. You know, like they do a lot of this in pro wrestling.
A lot of people don't understand, you know, the history of pro wrestling. Now, remember, I'm the ultimate mixed martial arts, combat sport nerd. Yeah. In the old days, it wasn't just WWF. In fact, the Japanese, that's how mixed martial arts got started in Japan, is the evolution from professional wrestling to making it real. And what we have here in the United States is originally, you know, guys used to actually wrestle and submit each other. Okay, there were shows and works and shoots when we actually went live, you know, when it was live and real. Okay, but what happened is it became all fake over the course of time. But originally, a lot of these holds you see people do are actually holds from, let's say, judo, catch-as-catch-can wrestling, sambo. And the idea is they're actually modified legitimate holds. And what I mean by modified legitimate holds is you got to modify them a little bit, because if you do the legitimate hold and you screw up, you're going to hurt the guy.
Yeah.
But if you leave extra space when you do it, you can really sell it and make it look good without hurting the guy.
Oh yeah, yeah. I see it all the time. You know, like I had to mention professional wrestling, because the move you're doing, man, almost looks like a figure four from, you know, the Ric Flair. I mean,
yeah, it's not.
How he would do it. Yeah.
A lot of leg lockers end up in positions where it almost looks like, you know, a professional wrestling hold. And what's funny is, for a while, leg locks have finally started to cross over into all submission grappling styles. But back in the day, it would almost be like somebody would see you do a leg lock. If they came from a grappling background, they would then want you to do it on them because they couldn't understand why it hurt so much.
Yeah. Yeah, good stuff. You know, yeah, go ahead.
What?
Go ahead, Phil. I'm sorry. I think you were about to say something, but go ahead.
Yeah, I was actually continuing on that whole idea of how it's almost funny how wrestling in Japan had gotten more realistic, while at the same time wrestling in the Americas had gotten more fantasy.
It got more. Yeah, it got more sports entertainment. That's what I think. You know, they got more, you know, of the entertainment base, you know, because pro wrestling back in the, you know, the 80s, 70s, and 60s and 50s was pro wrestling, you know, but it was more syndicated on television. They threw a little bit of entertainment in there to sell the crowd, to cut the promos. Now it's way out of control. Yeah, way out of control. Yeah.
Well, it's like they had that match between Shayna Baszler and Ronda Rousey, I guess last night or the night before or something like that.
Shayna is the one who stabbed Ronda in the back. Shayna is why we are here. Oh my God, that man done it! Ronda may be down. Ronda driven out of the ring by a wicked kick by Baszler. Baszler went with the high kick, and Rousey still on spaghetti legs.
And like, you know, if you were familiar with what's going on, you knew in your mind, you thought Ronda Rousey was going to lose because she was planning on walking away and possibly going back to mixed martial arts.
That was a
perfect setup for it.
Yeah, that was. They were trying to shoot for that, you know, UFC MMA rules type of match, but. I mean, clearly, it was very scripted. We all knew because if you follow,
they're friends.
Yeah, they're friends. But if you follow Ronda Rousey's career, Phil, and if you knew the rumors behind the scenes of WWE, Ronda Rousey's contract was up with WWE, and she was fixing to leave. Now, is she going back to UFC? I don't know. I would like to see her back.
She talks about it a lot, but you know, this is personal opinion. I have no more insight into this other than somebody who really watches the sports and watches how people act.
Yeah.
I don't think she's coming back because the result of having lost, I think, broke her.
You think so?
Yeah, I think coming back for her would almost be the equivalent of somebody starting a whole new career.
Yeah.
Okay, because, and I'll be honest with you, there's an old saying in fighting that, you know, some days you're the hammer, some days you're the nail. Like if you fight good guys, like, you know, my whole point is I don't want to walk out with some guy who sucks, throw him down on the mat, twist him up, and win.
Phil, yeah, if I may chime in, look at Brock Lesnar. He's been back and forth with UFC. I mean, you know, Brock Lesnar, he started his career out with WWE, but then Dana White offered him all that money, and he was like, well, Dana White's going to offer me so much money. What are you going to offer me, Vince? And that's when he took the jump to UFC.
Yeah, but he was a unique case in that he wasn't just a professional wrestler. He was an NCAA champ. So he had a good pedigree as a real wrestler. And, you know, but the downside for him is if you watch his fights, he didn't like to get hit.
Nah, he's just a big dope. He's a big dope. I mean,
who does? You can have all the talent in the world. Like I always say, there's different types of people. Some guys are athletes, and let's say they gravitate toward fighting. If getting hit bothers you, it's going to be a tough career. If you accept it, it'll be an okay career. But there are other guys that you hit them, They bite down on their mouthpiece and they smirk. Okay,
yeah.
that guy isn't. He's not an athlete fighting. He's a
he's a muscle bag, Phil. That's all he is a muscle bag.
Yeah, but he's a very skilled wrestler.
Yeah.
That's what everybody neglects to see. They see 300 pounds of steroid-induced muscle, and they automatically think that's the whole thing. In other words, you can sit there and take all the steroids in the world. It's not going to make you a good fighter.
Yeah.
Right. You still got to have the brain for it.
Well, we've seen that with Hulk Hogan, right? Hulk Hogan was pumping them in the 80s and early 90s, and you've seen how he moved. I think you're right, Phil. Like when you do that steroid stuff, man, it slows you down a little bit. When you spar a little bit.
I always tell people, as a coach, being a health nut. I'm not going to stick something in my ass that somebody made in their bathtub. It's just not me. But as a coach, make logical choices. Okay. Now, like I always say, if you're a guy on the cusp of being a world champion, and you feel you need that extra edge, now that's maybe a consideration.
No.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah,
Brian Bosworth made professional money because he took enough steroids to get through the draft. Okay, great college football player, wasn't able to bump up because his abilities were stimulated very heavily by the amount of stuff he was taking. Okay, but you have other athletes who, it's kind of, if you're a low-level athlete and you're taking steroids to be a low-level athlete, it's not worth it. Okay, and the other thing I tell people is, like, I had a guy in Vegas. Okay, and it was kind of funny. He's getting ready for a fight. Now he's like 260 pounds, big muscle-bound guy, solid high school wrestler. So he was a good athlete. Okay, he's doing maybe 4 or 5 minute rounds. We're trying to get him to do more and more rounds, getting ready for the fight. Then suddenly, about 3 weeks later, he's actually getting bigger and leaner at the same time, which is like almost impossible to do. You get bigger and then you lean out. You get bigger and then you lean out. You don't get bigger and leaner at the same time. But it's kind of like, so one day he's in the gym and he gets about halfway through the first round. I can tell he's wheezing. Halfway through the second round, he has to take a break. And I looked at him and I'm like, what the fuck are you taking? Well, I can say that on this because you're unfiltered, right?
Yeah. Go ahead. Okay. You can say anything.
But I'm like, what
don't worry. We don't have FCC. This is not syndicated.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I'm like, what the fuck are you taking? And he goes, nothing, coach. Okay.
Right.
How much are you taking? I'm not taking anything, coach. I swear. How much tren are you taking? Okay, because there's only one thing in the world that's going to make you bigger and leaner and kill your cardio to that degree, and it's tren.
But Phil, don't they screen these guys out before the fight, like the weigh-in process and stuff? Isn't there a screening process during the weigh-in?
Pros, yes.
See, now there's the thing. I know. I'm sure you know who Tyrus is. He's on the Gutfeld show. Right? Big guy. And they were talking the other day too.
Yeah, he's a former wrestler.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. He still fights. He still gets belts. But maybe we need. Maybe we need unfiltered steroid leagues. Whatever. So long as people know going in, that's what they're getting. Take whatever you want, whatever quantities you want, whenever you want.
Yeah, but Joseph, don't you
think
that
league then?
Don't you think that's a cheater? Like they're taking pills.
That's why they say create a league for that.
Honestly,
create an Olympics for
creating
that.
a league is not going to work because everybody's going to try to be in no steroids league anyway.
Well, then they would have to create a league, Phil, called like UFC Underground or something. I think they did years and years ago, but it doesn't really exist anymore. They would have to create a league like that or redevelop it, like UFC Underground or.
Well, remember, they bought
Babylon or whatever the hell that company is. Yeah.
Not because they wanted to stop steroid abuse. They wanted the credibility of getting steroid abuse out of the sport. Okay, now
that's all over the place.
There's been incidents of fighters hiding from USADA and not wanting to do the test. Okay, there was one guy in Vegas who hid under the cage in his gym.
Oh my God!
And there's only one reason to do that. That's because
but my point is. They all have their downsides. If you want a short career with a bunch of joint damage, go ahead, use it. Okay, I know I've competed against a ton of guys that use it. I don't care.
Yeah, Phil, I got a question to ask you. Are you are you can you say you're a supporter, or do you agree with steroid use in sports? We're talking. What I mean by sports, we're talking about all sports: pro wrestling, baseball, football, MMA, karate, all of it.
I don't support it, but I'm not hardcore against it either.
Okay.
Do you understand what I'm ambivalent?
Yeah, I understand.
Like, it has a downside too.
Mm-hmm.
Do you understand? You're going to pay the price for what you do.
Yeah.
In other words, if you're taking, you're going to have a hard time cutting weight.
Yeah.
Okay. If you take something to help you cut weight, you're going to have a hard time rehydrating.
Yeah.
Okay. Everything.
We got off track. We got off track. You were going to go. Mike wanted you to go into your vegan side.
No,
So
Joe. We're not going off the
before we
rails.
forget
He's making good points, but what
Yeah.
you just said went right into a good segue with your vegan. You know, with the steroid use,
about being
a good
natural and healthy.
I
right.
actually attribute my longevity to my diet. Okay, now I have to tell you, I've become popular with different people as the anti-vegan vegan.
Gotcha.
Okay, because I got to be honest with you, nothing bothers me more than some skinny fat person.
Wait, skinny fat person?
Skinny fat person. Somebody with absolutely no muscle tissue
Well,
in
Phil,
their body.
we got
no. Let me finish this
hold that thought. We have
that
about
looks like they're about to die.
Yeah, we have
tells
5
me
minutes
I
left
should
on the
eat
show.
the way they
So,
do.
yeah, go ahead.
No, do you understand what I'm saying? Is like I can't stand these people. Like, they don't know what they're doing, and they're telling you you're supposed to do it too. Like vegans that tell you, oh, you should eat vegan.
It's
You
virtue.
look like hell.
It's virtue signaling veganism, right? Totally different.
I eat vegan. I eat vegan because I grew up a vegan. So basically, I've come up with this theory, and I don't know whether it's true or not. It's just my personal theory. Your palate is formed when you're a kid. Okay, if you don't have access to a lot of stuff, you don't really develop a taste for it. I was the only kid in the world that didn't like ice cream. I don't like creamy foods.
Okay.
Okay, I don't like sugary foods.
Well, Phil, by looking at you, you don't look like a vegan. I mean, I'm not trying to be like judgmental or anything. Usually vegans I see are like, they look like me a little bit, like lean and thin and stuff like that.
Look, this is going to sound funny now, though.
We got about like 3 minutes left, but go ahead, buddy.
I'm reasonably big. I'm about 220 pounds.
Okay.
Okay. But like when I compete against somebody that's 265, I kind of look about the same size they do. So I seem to carry a lot of meat on my frame. And most people, after having worked out with me, say I'm insanely strong.
Oh,
and they have a hard time.
Because I was going to say, Phil, I thought
vegan.
I thought the vegan diet eliminates all like the bad carbs for you and everything. Is that true?
Basically, my biggest mistake is I handcuffed myself for years. I ate mostly a fruit-based diet.
Okay.
Okay, but then when I came out of treatment with pancreas damage, I don't release enough insulin to eat a lot of food. So I changed my diet to a nut-based diet. So for the sake of argument, I'll have a protein supplement with hemp, rice, and pea protein because it's got the best amino acid profile. And then like for dinner, I'll have 3 pounds of raw cashews.
See all that stuff. If I were to eat all that stuff, I'd be on the shitter like within 5 minutes. I don't think I'd agree with myself.
That's the funny thing is, I'm like regular as clockwork. My body has mutated. It's like it works for me. And like people will ask me, should I do it too? Fuck no. If you like a hamburger, eat a hamburger.
Fuck yeah. Like
guys ask me all the time, have you tried that? Like,
Beyond
Burger.
No, I'm a garbage eater. I eat whatever, is convenient. Fucking Big Mac from McDonald's, but I still maintain. I'm going to be 41 this October.
That's great.
And I can eat all that heavy carb shit and it burns right out of my system. I don't know what's wrong. Been like this for years.
Like that's what I get a kick out of some people. If you feel good the way you are, keep doing it.
Yeah, I can't pass on steak. I love steak way too much.
And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm one of those guys. Between you and I, if my family wanted deer meat, I'm on 85 acres in Virginia, and I don't want to call it hunting. I could walk out and wrestle one to the floor and bring it in for dinner. Okay. In other words, out here it's harvesting. You don't have to hunt them.
God.
Yeah. Like there'll be nights I come home and on the driveway I've got 12 deer.
There you go.
And I'm laughing over here because we keep talking about fruits and nuts, and on Savaged Unfiltered, we're normally talking about leftist fruits and nuts. Not diet. Yeah.
I'm gonna close it out like this because we got to get going because we're running out of time.
Yeah.
We talk about it all. We talk about politics. We talk about comedy. I've had everything on this show. That's why it's called Savage Unfiltered, because we were talking about one topic, and Joseph and Shaky kind of threw some hints at me over the months in the last year. Now going into a year and a half. We've been doing this show for 4 years, but I mean, the amount of content we bring in. It needs to be Savaged Unfiltered because you don't know who the hell's going to be on the next episode.
I'll be honest with you. When you guys reached out, I'm like, Savage Unfiltered? The one thing I always hear now, between me, like, the stuff that comes out my mouth sometimes surprises me. Okay, like I swear to God, half my students come in because like all of a sudden they'll be doing an arm bar. And I'll say, use your hips. God damn it, fuck his elbow. Okay.
Savage MMA.
I love to it. Okay, so it's kind of like unfiltered. I've heard that it used to me more times than I can count.
Well, I put the fucks and ass and bitches in where it's appropriate. You know what I mean? But Phil, it's been great having you on the show, man. Such an honor. I can't say keep on punching because then I'm ripping off Sylvester Stallone. But
I'll keep on having fun. I'll make you that deal.
There you go. There you go. Phil, for some of my listeners and followers on social, where can they find some of your work besides, your gym there in Virginia?
They can look up my name, Phil Dunlap, and I have my Facebook page is in my name. All my accounts are in my name, and his videos float, like a ton of videos and magazine articles and stuff like that floating around.
Awesome stuff. Well, Phil, again, buddy, thanks very much.
Thanks again for having me.
Yeah, thank you. And keep on doing what you're doing, guys. If you want to learn more, you can check it out. We're going to put all the links in the show notes right after this live stream, guys. Give it about 3, 4, 5 hours tops, and it will be transformed into our video package on Rumble, YouTube, and anywhere you see a video podcast, including our audio podcast on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple, Google. The list goes on, does it, Shaky? And we're constantly growing into other platforms as podcasting is continuing to develop, guys. Such a huge honor. Thanks very much, Phil. Again, guys, like I say on the show, keep it savage. Until next time, see you later. Take it easy, guys.
Have a good one, guys.